What's up, guys? Finally, install day is here. So today we're going to install the Killer Bee external wastegate headers with the Tial wastegates. We've got the FA20 blue turbo here. That's going in the car. We've got a Cobb Flex fuel. We've got a Cobb SF intake. We've got the parent inlet hose that's mounting up right to the turbo. I think that's about it for most of the installs for today. Some of the things we've already done is I've got the AOS on there just to talk about that. That's definitely a great mod, and if I were to go back and do it now, I'd probably be putting that part on the car first, because that definitely seems like a worthwhile mod. Obviously it's recommended by tuner, over and over, so that is definitely a good mod. If you don't have one, definitely look into an AOS or catch cans at the least. Anyway, so we've got that, and we've got the Invidia R400 Gemini exhaust on the car right now. I can't wait to get all these parts on the car. And then after that, man, ooh, the Pro Tune's coming. The Pro Tune is coming. Yes, that's going to be an exciting day if everything is put together well and goes on the car fine. So we got to get that. We have to get through that first today, and then we're just one step closer to the Pro Tune. Man, I cannot wait to be smelling some E85 this summer. Probably going to be running E50, E60 blend for the Pro Tune. It'll be interesting. Obviously, I'm not going to shoot for the moon on numbers. I don't really care too much about the numbers because we're on the stock block. With that said, you have to be realistic. So maybe we'll shoot for somewhere around 330 to the wheels on 93, and then maybe 400, 425s, wherever it lands, and wherever Corbin's able to tune it safely. I just want to be able to enjoy this over the summer, and then we'll see what happens in the winter. That's another video. But yeah, man, this is just super exciting. It's almost kind of sad to know these parts are going to be on the car and underneath the engine, because you're not going to see them too much after that, because they look amazing right here. Yeah, just real quick, shout out to Nick Triviano over at New Provisions Racing. He got all this stuff to me super fast. I just love the way that they have the shipping set up at New Provisions. It's really cool. You get like updates on your email. You can go check it. The way they do it's really nice. It's a lot better than other companies. Since we have so many parts for the car today, it's going to be really hard to film a step-by-step process of taking out all the parts and then putting on everything. I'm definitely going to give some insight to how the wastegates are going to be plumbed. Right now, everything's just kind of on here. We'll see how it goes onto the car. I'm going to go into that a little more in detail. I know that's a question that some of you guys are asking about, and we'll definitely go over it. There are two different ways to set it up, so depending on how you set it up, your car can sound different. Just reading some notes from GrimmSpeed, they recommend that the vacuum hose going from the wastegates are equal length, and then to the T, and then going to the boost controller. We remove the Jpipe from the rear exhaust and hot side of the turbo here. So all that's removed. Actually was able to break loose these bolts to the header, or the nuts. Pretty sure there's a 14 millimeter. So I broke those loose last week, and then still just hit it with some WD-40. Actually, SubiSpeed did a really good install and deinstall video for headers. So if you want to check that out and get like a really good idea of how to drop the headers out, check out that video that they did. But anyway, so we come over here to the inlet side of the turbo. Everything here is pretty much ready to go. We've got the I think this is the oil feed line, or no, that one might be that one. Anyway, these two lines, one of them's, this is the return, I think, and this one might be the coolant.
Not sure. Anyway, I had to plug this up as best as I could, and then we've got the ones up here clamped. These are about all the clamps I have, so everything looks like it's ready to drop out. Disconnected the charge pipe from the turbo. I was trying to not mess with the charge pipe at all as far as you know, having to reinstall it or something like that. So hopefully it doesn't squirt everywhere. Oh well. Oh. Glasses were a good choice.
At this point in the video, I recommend going over to the GrimmSpeed header removal video. This will give you a lot more insight of which lines to disconnect. There are quite a few that I didn't show here, so go check out their video. Once you have all the hoses disconnected, and if you're working by yourself, it's a lot easier to put a jack under the oil sump, and you can get it to the right level and have a little bit of wiggle room between it, so you can lift up the front of the turbo and then just kind of wiggle it back and forth, and you can get the header flanges loose. You'll need to work those loose. I left one bolt on each side of the headers, worked it loose by wiggling it up and down. Did have to do this process a little violently, but it was the only way to remove it by myself, so I would recommend using a jack for this.
Yep, there are a few things that we need from this old assembly. The oil sump will go on a new turbo. Oh, good. Those aren't too tight. Ooh, these go all the way through. Wow. Okay. I don't know. Hey, Luke. Wow. What you doing, kitty? Kitty cat. So, just move this one. Okay guys, so there's one bolt that connects to the heat shield on the other side of the turbo. You can't see, so I've just removed that. It's 10 millimeter, and I removed the longer 10 millimeter bolts right here from those empty holes for the oil sump. And should, all right, there we go. There's the oil sump removed. So we'll go ahead, hopefully I can leave this heat shield on. Looks like they did give us a new gasket in the new kit. So we'll go assemble that one.
Yeah, I wonder where they're housing. Oh, I can put the app on your phone. For their stuff. And then when you put Spotify and this one.
figure out. Get this clip off. I'll probably have to reuse it. I need just one big screwdriver. Ooh, yes, there we go. Don't want to lose that. I'm not sure. Don't lose that. Probably have to reuse it. So we do need to recycle this to close the new wastegate. Thanks, Will Roger.
There, fix it.
Good job. There's the gasket for the headers that came with the turbo. Put that on. And now, be able to mount our headers and turbo. The nuts that came with the turbo.
For the turbo to header bolts, I use 31 foot-pounds. That's also recommended from the block to the headers.
It's not 14, is it? Oh, it is. Hey, we got a look. Oh. Careful. That one will have. These will have to be tightened down once they're. And we'll recycle this nut from the OEM turbo. That's not reaching. Because it goes like this. Alright, that's gated closed. Okay, make sure that's gonna keep the wastegate closed. Yeah, looks like it. Good. And then we'll tighten this up. Where's that little pin we had? There we go. Locked and loaded. So we got all the oil feed line, or got all these nuts tightened down for the oil. This one's 19 right here. This one's 19 millimeters, so make sure that's tightened down. These are what, 12? I think these are, no wait. So these are 14. Got these tightened down. And that one, this bolt for the oil is 19 millimeter. Had to tighten that one down. Had to tighten this one down. That's 14 millimeter and another 14 millimeter. Not sure if we're going to need this part for the OEM fitment, but possibly. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the Oem Shield. See if I can get this to fit. Maybe not. Ooh, yeah, looks like it just might fit. So we're actually hitting the, let's see. Looks like we're hitting the wastegate here with the OEM shield. I might bend that out just a little bit so we can still use it. You can just pull it this way. Here are the OEM bolts for the oil sump. And this one I over torqued. I got really lucky. Really lucky. It was just this bolt broke off just long enough, and I was able to get it back out. You gotta be careful torquing these down or over torquing them. They're really sensitive. So I had to go to the hardware store and find a solution. Unfortunately, this looks like it's probably a 65 millimeter bolt. Hardware store only had, or wait. I think the OEM bolt is 55 millimeter. The hardware store only had 60 millimeter and 50 millimeter, so it was in between. Just gonna have to go with what I got. There is a little bit of size difference between the two of these, and I might have to put some washers on this end if the threads go down too far into this, which I think they might. We'll find out. But still, I got super lucky getting these other threads out that broke off in there. Here it is. So I'm leaving the end with the tab out, because once you get the sump on, it's kind of hard to move around. So that tab's pretty helpful to line up things. So I'll just deal with the OEM first, feed it through, line it up. And hopefully we have See? Gotta be sure just to get. There we go, that gasket. Alright, that looks nice. So now I'm just able to move the tab on the gasket, move it around, and line up the hole. I'm going to try to go all the way down with this, but we're probably going to have to use washers. I did pick up some locking washers, so not a huge deal. One more. There we go. We got 4 locking washers. So, that should be enough. Now, I don't want to over torque this again and break it. I might not get so lucky. But I don't want all the washers to lock. Alright, I think that'll be good enough. Alright, that is the OEM. I'm going to leave that. Yeah, so just got to put the. Where's the other shield? That's all we got, actually. Oh, let's see here. I'll bend this out a little bit too. Oh, this is hard. Okay, let's feed it through with this. There we go. All right. I don't have header gaskets. I should have bought new ones, but I don't have them, so I'm going to have to reuse the old ones, which, oh, that could be a problem. Hopefully not. What else can I do, though? Oh, man. All right, that side's in.
The easiest way with one person to install the headers I found was to use 2 mallets. The rubber handle I put against the flange of the headers and then hammered the other end of it up and then into the car, so this allowed the headers to slide just past the bolt so I could get the first bolt on from there. I just used 31 foot-pounds on all 6 bolt heads.
So here we have our vacuum lines. These are going to go, this end will go to the wastegate. This end will go to the other wastegate. Meet at the middle with the T. This will go into our electronic boost controller on port 2. The turbo goes directly to port 3 on the electronic boost controller. So what I've done here is, this is some HVAC tape. This is only rated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Just wrapping it with this first, and I'll wrap this one, and then I've got some DEI gold tape, so then I'll finish it off with that. But I actually was speaking to somebody that contacted me. What's his name? Kyle Devoyak. Can't remember his last name. But anyway, I was speaking with Kyle. He contacted me, and he was giving me a few pointers. There are 2 different ways you can run your lines. Unfortunately, if you want to run them differently, you're going to have 2 more of these T's. These brass T's, they're 1/4. Make sure that they're brass and they're not plastic. Does make a difference. So I could only find 1 brass T today. I looked everywhere. I went to Menards. I went to O'Reilly's, where I got this one. They only keep like a package of 1 in stock. So I could have bought another one today, but I'd still be missing one. And then I went to Home Depot. They didn't have it either. So if you guys want to run them differently than this, you'll definitely need 3 T's total. Plumbing everything like this will give us the rapid pulses that a lot of people have on YouTube. It's like if you were to plumb them the other way with the top ports on the wastegates, plumb through, then it would sound more like whoa, 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 whoa. The pulses would be longer between themselves, so it would have a different sound. But I'm gonna hook it up like this just because we've got the 1 brass T. And I was thinking about it. It's probably a moot point, but when you're adding more brass fittings, you're adding more points of failure. It's probably really unlikely there'd be any kind of failure with that setup, just as long as you do your due diligence. But we'll go with this. I'm gonna get the cold wrap tape. Admittedly, I don't want to say how long I've been working on the car tonight. It's been too long. Oh. Long story short, the parent inlet tube will not be going on the car. But I was starting to think about that. Like, am I going to run out of MAF on the stock motor? I don't know. So here's port 3, and then right next to it over here is port 2. That's where you connect the wastegates. And then they're teed at the middle. Yeah, everything's ready to go down here.
The ideal here was to use the anti-seize and put it on the end of the dump tubes. Then using the bash guard and the original holes for the bash guard, I would be able to line that up, push the bash guard into the dump tubes where the anti-seize was. Then that would give me a line of, or an ideal of where to cut the holes for the dump tubes and the bash guard. So if you think about it, the grease, or I'm sorry, the anti-seize on the bash guard is going to be an outside diameter of the dump tubes. So if you were to really measure the dump tubes, you could probably get a really good indication of how far in or away from the anti-seize that you need to actually start drilling the hole. This is just a guesstimate, and this ended up working for me really well, so I thought I'd share it, but it could be different for whoever's trying to use this method.
This is a 3-inch bit I picked up. This one is specifically for metal. A lot of them you have to be careful with because they're just for wood or plastic, drywall, whatever. But this one is rated for metal, so I'm going to use this 3-inch to drill out the bash guard. Went ahead and filed down the holes, and I wouldn't say they're real smooth, but it's good enough. Now, moment of truth. Honestly, I only measured once, so that was not very good practice on my behalf, but let's see what happens. Also, make sure to use the spacers provided with the Killer Bee external wastegate headers. See if they fit. Oh, where are we at? Okay, come over. Oh, ho, 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 yes! It's working! Yeah, oh, they line up really good. Oh, bolts. Alright. Bolts and spacers are real hard to get. Figure out how to hold this. Let's see. Actually, they do line up, so that's awesome. Super excited for that, man, because mess that up, I'll be stuck with one ugly bash guard. Oh, let's see here. I'll get a good shot for you guys. Just check that out, though. I mean, oh, it's hard to tell. So that's how the holes turned out. Here we go. View here. She is. Mean FA20 blue right there.
side profile. You can see the dump tube hanging down just a little bit. Might dremel that. Okay.
Alright, dudes. Moment of truth. Let's see if it starts. Oh, man, this is exciting. This is exciting. Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Wow. Definitely sounds way different. Sounds super mean. Everything looks good. I'm not really dropping any oil or fluids or anything like that so far. There's no weird noises other than the cool noises so far. Oh my gosh. Woo. Alright guys, stay tuned for the Pro Tune.